drift across the middle. McGrath is having problems and coming up to the line edge. Has been taken by Epifanov right at the final.
I'm buzzing. Yeah, I haven't really got the words for it. It's just I'm absolutely I'm gassed at the minute. So, first Paralympic Games, first Paralympic medal.
Representing Great Britain, Jack Eyers.
So my name's Jack. It's Jack Eyers. Live here in Bournemouth. Lived here since 2010. I was a personal trainer. Started off as a sort of full-time personal trainer, working out of a couple of different gyms, working with clients, both able-bodied and sort of less so. I then had the opportunity to get involved in the Para-Canoe program, and I was invited up to Nottingham to try out a talent program, and really enjoyed it. Flat water sprint, 200 meters, hard as you can, fast you can. It's very gym focused, which is something I'm really interested in. It ticked a lot of my boxes. Love being outside, love being on the water, love training hard. It went quite well. The talent spotting program went well, and they said to me that if I want to take it seriously, I should relocate. I should move up to Nottingham and take it very seriously. So I did, moved up to Sheffield. My partner was on a course up there. And yeah, I guess I'm now a Paralympian. So my sport is para-canoe. It's a 200-meter sprint. It's on a rowing regatta lake, and we go from A to B as fast as you can and as hard as you can in any conditions. The VAR, which is what I paddle, is an outrigger canoe. So it's a long canoe, 7 meters long, and it has an Iacu and an AMA, so an outrigger on the side of it. It's the equivalent of the sort of high kneeling C1 that you might see in the Olympics. So I was personal training in Bournemouth, and I spent 12 to 15 hours a day stuck inside a studio. I love being outside. I was trying to find something that allowed me to exercise outside. Like I said, I absolutely love being on the water, and I joined my local canoe club, and that's kind of how I got involved in canoeing and on being on the rivers and going on the ocean. And then it was Poole Harbour Canoe Club that actually received the email from British Canoeing at the time saying that they were looking for new talent. Was there any sort of potential disabled athletes that would fancy going to Tokyo for the next Paralympic Games? So that's kind of how I got involved. There was some quite big steps. I was, like I said, Bournemouth based, personal training, did a little bit of modelling as well. Things were good. Things were reasonably successful, but the carrot of getting to the Paralympic Games and that dream has always been there. It was a massive commitment. One, parking my personal training business, relocating to up north, and going from the income that I was making from personal training and modelling to band E on the Olympic program. On the Paralympic program. Which is equivalent to sort of like 500 quid a month. So it's a massive commitment. So there was lots of unknown, there's lots of uncertainty. Within 18 months of being on the program, I was then selected to go to the World Championships, the European and the World Cup. The World Cup was a complete write-off for me. I think I made B final, and it didn't go very well at all. Europeans, I then got a bronze medal, and I performed really well, and I was pretty happy with it. The World Championships, I then got another bronze medal, which then ranked me higher on the funding band, and it became a more reasonable amount that I could then live on. So I guess that was probably the turning point within 18 months of being up in Nottingham and on program, was understanding that actually I can possibly make this work. The following year, unfortunately for me, was another wipeout, just in terms of like performance anxiety and like expectation management, and also just with the sport growing so quickly and me being quite new to it, it was kind of this chasing element. 2020 was obviously the pandemic. That didn't happen. But then 2021, I unfortunately didn't get selected by a tenth of a second to go to Tokyo Paralympic Games. But I kind of learned how to, over the last couple of years of 2019 not going my way, 2020 training at home and being away from the program, I learned to kind of like utilize emotion as energy and really kind of channel it. And 2021, I won the first World Championships. And that put me, obviously, pay bracket gone right away up, but also that understanding and that kind of self-belief went up with it as well. So 2021 was a massive year for me. Repeated it in 2022, won the next World Championships. 2023, unfortunately, I broke my hand in April and I was out the boat for 3 months. 6 weeks before the World Championships, got back in the boat, decided to go to the World Championships and got a silver medal. And then obviously this year has been rocky. This year was up and down. May this year was the World Championships and my boat broke literally in the heat. First stroke in, as the bucket dropped, my seat snapped. Just through poor maintenance, poor care. And I had sort of a couple of hours to turn it around to then get into the semi-final, and it just didn't go my way. I ended up in the B final, which isn't good for a Paralympic year. It's wasn't good for the confidence, wasn't good for showing people what I was capable of doing, wasn't good for selection, lots of things. So again, reflected back on some of the techniques that I've learned over the last couple of years of like channeling emotion into powerful energy, and then I made selection, called myself a Paralympian, and got a silver medal at the Paralympic Games. Over the last sort of 8 years or so, I've built up a level of self-belief. I know what I'm capable of doing from winning the World Championships 2 years in a row, understanding that some of the results that I was getting on GPS in the lead up to the games were world class. They were outstanding times, and they've not been seen on international level. So I knew that I was in a really good place. My friends, my families, my sponsors all had full belief in me, and all the encouragement was there. And so I guess, so going into it, my expectation was I was going to be disappointed with anything less than being on the podium. So that was my expectation of being there. I knew what I was capable of. I had, unfinished business from Tokyo, and I also had unfinished business from the World Championships earlier in the year when my boat broke. So I went in there with quite a lot of focus, emotion, aggression, and energy, I guess. Yeah. Day of the semi-final was this crosswind, this thing that I've been exposed to and that put me in a sixth place, 18 months ago, 12 months ago. So I knew that I had to really kind of step into, forget the physical, forget the try and hard element, and it was all purely going to be around the skill element of it. In the semi-final, I put all my skills to test, and I won the semi-final, and I was really happy with that. In the final, it was all or nothing, which was a really strange scenario where you want to race and train and push as hard as you can, but you know that you've got to be sub-max because of the wind conditions. You have to put your skill element involved. So I probably come out a little bit lighter than I should have. I could have gone out a little bit harder. So I am reflecting a little bit on that now. But when I finally got across the line, you're so in your zone. You're so in your lane. You don't look around. You don't have any perception of where everybody else is. You just kind of like focus on, for me, it's focusing on the left-hand buoy, keeping the nose of the boat as still and as straight as possible, doing these directional stability strokes, as well as powering forward as hard as you can, keeping good technique, breathing, keeping a cool head, but keeping it focused, and then just getting across the line. You don't know where everybody is. There's a moment where you're kind of looking around and you're listening for your name. And there was a point where they didn't announce the winner for such a long time. And then I think they announced the Ukrainian as the winner. And I think he started to celebrate. So I was a little bit disappointed in that moment. But then when they put my name up as second place, silver medal, it was just the weight of the last 18 months had been lifted. And it was just this overrun with sort of emotion and also just sense of relief. I had 16 members of my friends and family in the crowd, including my 3-year-old daughter. They were all watching. I could see the flags. I could hear them shouting. It was just an overwhelmingly incredible experience. That's a great question. I think that there's been a number of sort of occasions in my life where I've always thought to myself, once I've achieved this, life is going to change. It's going to be great. And what I've come to realize is it's never it's never once you've achieved something, it's about the journey. So the last 8 years have changed my life in such an incredible way. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about the sport, and it's given me a real sense of purpose. And it has made me quite grounded as a person. I thought it was potentially going to be the same with the Paralympics. I think that deep down, I knew that just calling myself a Paralympian was going to be ticking a box. It was going to be something that I was very proud of. Nobody could ever take that away, sort of thing. And I honestly thought the itch had been scratched at that point, just calling myself a Paralympian. But being on the podium, getting a silver medal, being, a fraction of a second off gold, and to have all my friends and family there watching, and all the support that I've had from back home, it has changed my life, I think. And this is probably the first situation where a result actually has had such an impact on my life. The opportunities that I've had going forward, things that I'm passionate about, things like challenging the perception of disability, things like understanding like clear waters, so the pollution that we're getting in our waters, and also water safety is an opportunity for me to really get out there and use my status now. I think the future is going to be really exciting. And like I said, I thought the itch was going to be scratched. I thought I was going to walk away and say, I'm done with being an athlete now. I've got, 3 quite big injuries going on that I'm hopefully trying to get surgery for. So my body's had a real beating. I've been training in Nottingham 3 days a week, away from my family, away from my 3-year-old, for half the week. It's taken its toll, as it would. And I honestly thought I was just going to say, I'm done now. This is cool. Thank you so much. But being so close to the gold and understanding the impact that it's had, just that one monumental moment, I want to do another 4 years. I want to do another cycle. And the first thing my partner said to me was, you're going to LA. You're doing 2028. So I've got the backing of her as well. And she understood it. She was there. It's the first time friends and family have been there to watch me race, and for them to be involved in it as well, and for them to kind of understand the emotion and the nerves behind it. My friends and family were getting just as nervous as I were in the lead up to it. As I'm coming into the start line, as I'm coming into the bucket, there's stories of them kind of like getting really excited, really nervous, really excited, not being able to watch, sort of thing. So they were really bought in. So for me, that's great, and that's what sport's all about. It's that shared moment of glory or not, but luckily for it was glory. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Mr. England, maybe.
So being a personal trainer was an opportunity for me to work alongside people and really kind of change their lives, change their perception of like who they are, change their understanding of like what's possible. So I really wanted to challenge the perception of disability. That was the big thing that I really want to work on, using my social media and using my personal training. I then got involved in modeling. And modeling was great because it really complemented my work as a personal trainer. It allowed me to kind of have fitness photo shoots and then use it on my website, use it on my social media, and I'll get clients from it. And again, it was challenging this perception. I then got involved in more of the fashion industry. And this was a grey area where disabled people just weren't being represented in the fashion industry, mainly high street brands. So we buy clothes, but the clothes aren't designed for us, and they're certainly not represented by anyone who wears it. Things are different now. So I'm talking back in maybe 2010, 2012, 2013 was when it started to really pick up. I was lucky enough to be at the very start of that movement. I started working with a charity at the time. I think they're more of an agency now, Models of Diversity, and they look for diverse models. And it was good. It was an amazing, successful campaign that we put on. I ended up walking at New York Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, Moscow Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week. It was pretty insane. It was cool. Part of the journey, I was then doing a talk at the NEC in Birmingham on body confidence. I was then approached by a couple of talent spotters, and they were looking for the next Mr. England. And at the time, I had no idea what that meant. But after doing a bit of research, I decided that it was the right thing to apply for. It was just going to be another platform for me to kind of get my message out there, share my story, and it was an opportunity to travel the world as well. So yeah, it was a 3-month-long process where you had to do a social media round where people had to like and share. You had to do questions and answers on stage. You had to do fitness testing, fitness photo shoots, catwalks. There was a whole load to it. General knowledge. So there was a whole load of bits. I won a couple of the rounds, which put me in a good place. And then the final one was in front of a live audience, in front of the judges. You then answer a load of questions, and the way that I answered the questions obviously ticked a lot of boxes for them. And yeah, I won the title of Mr. England. We haven't kind of spoke about the bike, I guess, and about how much it is important for me and the leg, and how much I've really appreciated it. So I had my leg amputated when I was 16. Sort of mobility and physical sort of challenges has been quite a big part of my life. Had my leg amputated when I was 16, like I said, and trying to find modalities of kind of getting around that allowed me, especially on those bad days where I can't wear my leg, or I'm getting quite a lot of pain or discomfort or rubs and sores and things, has been really challenging. That's why getting in a canoe is ticked a lot of my boxes. Like, it's been on the water, out in the elements, and I don't have to worry about my lower limbs. It's all upper body, and yeah, having a right old adventure with it. When I was younger, it was all my friends were down at a skate park on skateboards and things. I just could never find the balance properly. But I used to ride a scooter. I used to ride like a JD Bug scooter, and that was kind of my modality at the time. But there becomes a certain time in life where you probably can't get on a micro scooter, you know. But the thing is about Synch is I've been using it to get to and from the beach. I've used it so much for getting to the beach, to get into the sea. I've been using it to get to the beach, to then go spearfishing. I've been using it to get to the canoeing club, to then get in the canoe and then ride back. And it's such a different way of getting around for me. And it's something that has really brought quite a lot of light to my style of training and my life, I guess. Not having to just sit in the car and drive everywhere and purely rely on that, but I've been able to get into a bike and not worry about if my leg is playing up at the time, because I don't have to pedal as hard as potentially I would do in another bike. Being able to sit there and have a bit more of assisted pedaling is game changer for me. So the big thing is, so we've got 4 years now. It's a 4-year cycle. Every year, as an athlete, every year you're kind of invited back onto program depending on your results at the World Championships. The World Championships is the consistent thing that they always assess whether you are on track, or whether you're on your trajectory towards being on podium or being at the next games. So every year I need to make sure I'm in a good place to be able to deliver at the World Championships. That being said, the first year of a cycle, the program really encourage you to explore and go out there and try new things. Canoeing as a whole, as an umbrella, there's so many different types of canoeing, whether that's sea kayaking or surfing or surf ski or long distance outrigger canoe that I'm doing now on the ocean, or the sprint. So the goal this year is to get involved in as many competitions as possible that isn't sprint. So that's the goal. So OC1, getting in the outrigger, getting on the ocean, and probably doing a bit more long distance stuff. So that's the goal of this year, and then going forward it will be starting to get ready for the next games. Nice one.